It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning and welcome to this February 8th edition of City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM. My name is Stuart Walter and my guest this morning is Deputy Mayor Colleen Smook.
Good morning.
There was a few things I didn't get to talk about with Mayor Fenske last week with regards to the last regular meeting of council. Let's start off by talking about the FCM annual conference and trade show. It was one of the resolutions on the agenda and discussed and voted on. Where is it taking place this year, and why is it important to have a small party of people at the conference and trade show every year?
This year it's in Halifax, so there is more cost to that. It's very important that we as municipalities go to these big conferences. There's resolutions made that affect our government, and people bring us back some new and innovative ideas. You get to share ideas with other municipalities. A lot of the different breakout sessions are pertinent to different areas of work that we do in the city. So it just gives us some knowledge of and the FCM is actually, it's Canada-wide, so you've got people from all the provinces at it. So it's important that we go.
One of the good news resolutions on the last one, it's always nice when there's good news things that come from City Hall, especially with the way things are going with the valet and all the job losses and the uncertainty that's in the air. Like I said, a lot of councillors are talking the very good news story. McDonald's is going to be unfortunately demolishing their current location, but building a newer and bigger one. What's going on, and why did it have to go through council first?
Basically with building permits, and they are taking over an area of the city adjacent to them. Also important to note that the sidewalk that goes right through that land now that attaches to the Mystery Lake Road and to the crosswalk, that sidewalk is going to be rebuilt just around them. So I've had a couple concerns that they're going to lose the sidewalk. It's just going to be rerouted a bit. And as for a good news story, it just shows the commitment of McDonald's to our city, and that our city is not going away anytime soon. Yes, we are losing jobs at Valet, but we do have a service area of 60,000 people to use Thompson as a hub, and we just have to expand our services to promote them coming to town.
One of the only bylaw that was on the agenda was an amendment to the zoning bylaw. What is the amendment that passed its first reading? Basically,
this amendment is now, and I can be perfectly honest to say I don't understand the whole scope of this. This Bitcoin and the new buildings and stuff that they want to set up, apparently they're very hydro intensive, a lot of use of hydro. And with us losing Valet smelter and that takes a lot of hydro, there's a lot of outside interest in Thompson right now. So in order for them to put their buildings, we just have to have a section of the bylaw that allows for that type of service and included, and there is actually some very good offers on the table right at the moment.
So it's just something proactive to try and make Thompson attractive?
Yes, rather than somebody picking a piece of land, then after we have to do all the changes, we're just doing the preliminary stuff up front.
The next regular meeting of council is Monday. What can the public expect at the meeting? I was looking at the agenda from the Liga Committee where the agenda, that's where the agenda is set for the next regular meeting of council. There wasn't really anything on the agenda that wasn't a standing item.
No, there really isn't too much coming up. This will be our first of the month, so we will approve, first meeting of the month, we'll approve the January check registers at this committee. So basically what that is anything that was paid out in January is brought forward to this committee. It's basically already the checks have been paid, it's gone through finance, and now comes to city council.
And those check registers have been a bit more intensive in the debate than they have been in the past, over the past few months, with a few councillors asking a lot of questions. And do you think that's going to continue?
Well, there's no need for it to continue. Basically, we have a chance, we get to all see these check registers. Anything that's sort of out of the scope, there's a little note made in the side, and we are given direction at the Finance Committee, and then we get an email that if we do have any questions, we can hand them to city administration, and they will answer all our questions. Some people seem to like their answers to come before a camera, so rather than even asking the question at the council meetings, if, like we have in camera an hour before or any time before, if they submitted their questions to City Manager Gary Sepatelli, those questions could be answered at the meeting rather than saying, gee, I'm not sure, because when you have hundreds of checks in a month, you don't always remember exactly what everything, but they would look up and have the answer ready for the councillors prior to the meeting.
Moving on, there are not a lot of events this weekend. It's relatively quiet, but there is one event that's happening tomorrow night at the TRCC.
Oh, that's Robert Munch. He's my favorite. He's been my hero since he was at the library when my kids were 2 and 3. So tomorrow night, 6:30, is at TRCC in the Bill Kamaski Wellness Center. Be there. It's absolutely great. The good and the bad. It's excellent. Get you in, out, and it's not even that cold right now to go out at 6:30. So it's something inside, and it's something for the community to support. So please come out.
And tickets are $10. You can get them at the TRCC.
TRCC.
Now, probably the most favorite topic of mine right now, snow removal. What's the latest?
Well, what's the latest? Hey, what can I say? We're doing snow removal just about everywhere right now. We've actually had the opportunity to work with our unions and with the contractors. It has to be all work together, so we have trucks out there clearing snow. Today they're working again on Thompson Drive. Our snow plow actually had a seal go in it that was supposed to be in and back in this morning for our snow blower. So that should be hopefully back in process by this afternoon. We're cleaning snow. I'm just going to look at my list. Riverside, we're from the fire. We've basically got done up to granite. It's looking and all that ice and stuff hauled away. Granite itself wasn't done, but I was down there this morning. It was sanded, and it is a bit rough. There are streets that are definitely rough in town. Please slow down, people. Eventually it will be got to, but you know, when we start clearing, there's up to a foot and a half of snow. Taken consideration this morning, we're doing Centennial. There was signs posted out yesterday that we were going to have to tow, because when we were down there a couple weeks ago, there was just too many vehicles. And I do understand that one vehicle was towed this morning in order to get Centennial cleaned. And that's ongoing right now. Pelican, there's a big water break there right now. We've actually got a hydro pole truck stuck in the middle of it, or had a couple hours ago, that they're working on getting out. Another question that was brought to me on water breaks is sometimes we don't seem to fill them in as quick as we should. Well, what happens there is we do our work, and then it's some of the other utilities, whether it be Manitoba Hydro, MTS, cable, whatever, they have had to splice their equipment for us to work on it, and we have to wait for them to come back and put their lines back together properly before we can close that hole. There was a big water break on Cobalt this week. When I went there at 4:30 in the afternoon, day before yesterday, it was just a mess. Like there was like a foot and a half of water and ice and that. I went back at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It was all cleaned up. They'd even cleaned out the ends of the people's driveway. Another one that I've been asked about for snow removal is Station Road. There's still some piles down by Three-Way. We're basically, when the snow blower went down, we had to move the loader that was doing that over to Thompson Drive to clear snow. So that is on hold, but if you look both sides of it, you can get down. There's holes punched through the entrances to get into the businesses. That's okay. Another thing, tomorrow we're going to be doing Westwood Drive, so keep an eye out for that. And the Burntwood Trailer Court tomorrow is snow removal and cleaning up the snow after them. So seeing how we have contractors' trucks for 2 weeks, so we're going to make the best use of them for the budget that we have.
Then we did have a question sent to us yesterday from Mike. I'm wondering why the city thought it would be a good idea to close Thompson Drive on multiple days at 8 a.m. Not only that, but it was closed right by Artie Parker, which is probably one of, if not the busiest section of road in the city at that time. He went on to say, I get that it needs to be done, but that just doesn't make any sense. Also, why send cars on a detour down a road that doesn't seem to have been plowed all winter? I don't have a late model car and thought something was going to fall off. It was so rough. I always try and look at things from every perspective, and I get that the work needs to be done, but I can't understand this one.
Well, I'm with you, and I'm with the city guys. I also don't have a late model car, and I had to go down that road also in the first morning. Basically, when we set out a plan to do work for the day, it just so happens that that was the only area that was going to be done that day, and that's when we can get the trucks. If you do look, it was signed very well when it was done for the safety of people. There's barricades put up. At one time, they used to try clean snow and let people drive by. We just can't do that anymore. A street has to be barricaded off. And yes, I personally always find it unfortunate that we're doing school zones at the times of school. But when you're working around contractors and your own crew and the safety of your crew, and that it sometimes can happen.
And then finally, a much funner topic, the Winter Games.
Winter Games, hey, less than a month away. Still taking volunteer registration. Please get out, #PlayNorth. If you're having trouble, go to the City Centre Mall on Saturday, and they will help you sign up. It should be a good time. I've also heard that the only reason we're cleaning streets is for the Winter Games. Well, folks, if you look around, we haven't actually had good snow for 2 weeks, so that's another reason that we've been able to play catch up. Not saying we're not doing it because of Winter Games, but we would be doing it whether Winter Games are coming or not. It's just one more thing to, help our city clean up. And yes, the snow has been brutal. But, people, we got to slow down. I know, and if you look around, you can't say that they're cleaning us councillors' streets and Mayor's Street, because they're just as bumpy as everywhere. So we're doing them one at a time. There is a priority list, and hopefully yours will get done, especially before spring, because if we get a early spring thaw, we're going to be driving in a foot of slush. So it's very important, and we thank all the ones for their cooperation. The ones that aren't quite so happy on Facebook, bear with us. We will get to you. Another thing I'd like to mention, though, in order of safety, we talk about safety and signs. People, please use your signal lights. Especially now, you have people that are going a bit slower, and then people that our streets aren't as wide as they should be, so they may not be 2 lanes, and you have a truck coming up behind you and beside you and sort of cutting you off, but then nobody is using their signal lights. Please, folks, use your signal lights.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Deputy Mayor Smook.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. I was just talking to one of the postal workers on my way here. If people, I know we're in a hassle to clean our streets, but if people could please clean their sidewalks and the areas up to their postal boxes, it would be much appreciated, because they've actually had to stop delivery at some houses due to the fact that they're not cleaned. It's just a safety issue, a time issue. So please, let's respect our postal workers, respect our city workers. Everybody's doing a great job. Thank you.
If you have any questions you'd like answered next week, email them in advance to chTMnews@arcticradio.ca. For City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM, I'm Stuart Walter.
City